Leave them on. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to a very special episode or live stream from Sports Community this morning. We're announcing the top 10 finalists in the most memorable club photo competition. And joining me is GeoSnapShot CEO Andy Edwards. Andy, welcome to the live stream where we announce the winners. The finalists.
Thanks very much, Steve. Yes, the finalists indeed. We've been through quite a lot of photos over a number of weeks, and very pleased to announce the final 10.
Yeah, so it was excruciating. We were given, I thought it was the responsibility early on. Now I feel it was the burden of narrowing down 100 plus photos down to this last 10. So before we have a look at the photos, Andy, what was in your selection criteria for going, yep, no, yes, no?
So very much in our minds and my mind with my photography is really about creating a photo that leaves somebody touched, moved, and inspired, right? It's not necessarily about the greatest, technical awareness of how to use the camera and have you got the lighting perfect and are you using the rule of thirds or any of that, right? Photos are about memories of our lives, and they can be captured on any camera at any time. But the photos that you'll see in this final 10 that we've selected and we're going to go through with people are really about those photos, as I say, that have left us feeling something about that, feeling touched and moved by the image that's been captured.
Yeah, absolutely. So voting's open for the rest of the week. So just go to the Facebook page. There should be the link to the poll where you can vote on your favorite photo, either in the banner of our Facebook page or in the post of this live stream, or probably in a number of places throughout the week on Facebook. So, Andy, let's have a look at them in alphabetical order of who submitted them. So here we go. It's interesting sports came through with the Aufq Underwater Hockey Commissioner submitting this one. And this one's just as much about the backstory as the uniqueness of the photo. But they say, I play a weird and wacky sport called underwater hockey. This one is of a group of our women players. This was after a massive victory of beating a men's team, the ultimate rivalry. So it's kind of an iconic historic shot as well. So why did you bring this one in?
So I love this for a whole range of reasons. So I do underwater photography as well as sports photography, and I know how hard these are to capture, right? They're very complex. They require an investment in time and skills to do this. And I said that it wasn't about the technical aspect of photos, but you can see that there's a huge amount of joy in this photo. Everyone's having so much fun here. And I think the photographer's gone to a lot of effort to make sure that this moment in time, this beating of the men with the underwater hockey, has been captured, and they've done it extremely well. So it left me feeling just very happy for the group, for the team, and I think it's been captured fantastically. So yeah, that's why it's in.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a sport that not many people would consider.
Yeah.
All right, number 2, Bendigo Umpires Association. The one day that umpires ask themselves, why do I do it? This was on 29th of June last year. Bendigo received 18 mils of persistent rain. Remember, umpires don't get rotated off. They run all day. I thought this was, and telling there was no spectators in the background either. So I thought that was interesting. What drew you to this photo, Andy?
Well, I mean, coming from the UK, and I've played, field sports for some of my years there, I can very much attest to how that feels after being on the field for a long day. But I think there's a number of things here. I think, you can obviously tell that these people have put a huge amount into their sport. They all look a bit bedraggled and and looking forward to that hot shower and cold beer probably. But when you look at the quality of the photo, and it's a little bit hard on these screens, so you'd have to go to the Facebook page and have a look when you're voting there. But it's really beautifully captured. Capturing photos in the rain like this, with the good lighting, with the presence and the movement that's here as well, just really struck out for me. And you'll see it when you look at the picture in detail on the Facebook page as well. It's high quality, it's capturing the moment, and you'll see that it's also got cars in the background, right? It's not the perfect image. It's not been set up. It's not been photoshopped out. It's just the capturing the moment in time perfectly. So that's why it's in for me.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at my other screen, which has got it in much more greater detail, and it's absolutely belting down with rain. So, I like that snap as well. There was no backstory to this photo contributed by Cairns Hockey Association, but I think I, like you, just thought it was such a compelling story in its own right that we had to put it in.
Look, there's a number of things about this shot that really got me. And I think, when you first see this shot for the first time, it's actually quite a romantic image. It's looking off into the sunset. It's clearly, maybe sisters, but certainly an older player with a younger player. There's a huge amount of support there. I actually think it probably doesn't need a backstory. You can kind of get your own feelings and thoughts from that. And again, that's what we're looking for in these photos, is really something that moves you. And I find this a very moving image. And that's why it's in. There's a lot of support there, club support, but individual player support, which we really liked. And just a beautiful image, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I had that one. This one was an interesting one because it took a little. The backstory was important with this one, and it was from the Coolum Cricket Club. Attached is a photo I took of them. So two teams, and I've edited a little bit, doing a barefoot circle. So that wasn't immediately obvious when I looked at this photo. Doing a barefoot circle as part of an acknowledgement to country prior to taking the field. This was during the inaugural reconciliation round for community and premier cricket clubs for 2019-2020 season. And when I kind of looked at the barefoot side of it, it was such a different way of tributing to than what I'd seen as part of the acknowledgement to country that I really liked it coming together and uniting as one. What drew you to this one, Andy?
And that's it as well. I mean, we discussed this at length, and I think it's one of those photos that the more you look, the more you see.
Yeah.
And it really, I think, there's a number of welcome to country type ceremonies, but you can see that there's a real bonding here with the club, and they've done it in a very special way. And I think, I think that should be captured. So, again, it's, the photo's great, but obviously it's not about a player in massive action and scoring the goal and doing something extraordinary, but it does make you sit back and think. And for me, it was really important, I think, that the club came together in harmony to in a really nice way here to have the welcome ceremony there. So yeah, really nice photo, really nicely done, and it's one of those things that you could see up on the club wall for a number of years to come.
And one of the things, just as a general comment about the whole competition, was we had 3 or 4 at least welcome to country acknowledgement photos, which was fantastic that the clubs chose those type of photos to represent themselves in the photo competition. So that was really, really outstanding and pleasurable to go through. This is one of those photos that doesn't look a great photo when you first look at it, but then after reading the backstory, this one got me a little bit. And the submitter says exactly that. I'm sure there'll be more technical and better composed entry than ours, but I love this photo for what it represents. The image is of one of our under-11 players putting a comforting arm around our junior coach during a game in which we were getting beaten. The image The image represents our club's ethos, support, friendship, being good sports. It didn't help us win the game, but as the president of the club, it did reinforce to me that we'd won the hearts of our players and coaches. To win or lose, we struck. And I just thought that's the strength of such an unbelievably strong club. We often see coaches comforting players, but we rarely see players, supporting coaches like this photo illustrates. I thought it was very, very powerful.
Yeah, and it's something that I mentioned up front, but it really leaves you, especially with the backstory here as well, it really leaves you feeling touched, moved, and inspired, right? And I think one of the real interesting things here is one of the things of GeoSnapShot actually is that this is not taken by a professional photographer. This is taken probably by somebody on their iPhone, in the stands, whatever. But anybody is capable of taking a photo, which is an important memory of somebody's life, right? And that's what it's all about. And you can see there's somebody running onto the pitch, the ball's all over the place. But when you look at the backstory, when you read the backstory and you look at the photo, you're just left with that, that image of camaraderie, of support, of exactly what sports clubs are all about. And all too often, we focus, excuse the pun, on the action and not the actual, and not the actual kind of strength that makes a club, which is this kind of support. So that's why it's in. We love this photo.
Yeah, it is. Indeed. Another one with very similar vein from the Geelong Rangers Soccer Club. Let's hear it for the girls. This is one of our senior women players coaching our under-12 girls last year. I love the smiles, the fun, the engagement on the girls' faces and the coaches being at their level while she talks tactics. I think that's absolutely fantastic. That our women's program is going from strength to strength based on the level of integration with our senior women's. And you've got the older girls there helping out as well. So again, it just encapsulates, well, as a parent of 3 daughters, it encapsulates the sort of team and the sort of coach you'd want your children to be exposed to, I think.
Oh, that's exactly right. And, the backstory says it all. And I think you've filled in there, Steve, fantastically. From a photographer's point of view, though, this photographer's really thought about this, right? They have got down to the same level. Okay, so that's something that doesn't quite come across. It comes across in the words, and it comes across in the image of that senior player there, sort of crouching down. But the photographer's got low as well. They've got enough of the ground in. They've got good lighting in a shady situation, which is bringing out all the smiles of the girls there in whatever coaching they're getting. So it's a really nicely put together photo. With some thought around it, and they've really thought about capturing this exact moment that they tried to. So great job.
Yeah, and the smiles is why we play sport, regardless of the level and the club. But this was a cool one. I mean, any photo with a top hat in, Andy, has to go in, doesn't it? So from the Northern Sydney Lacrosse, this photo was submitted from 1909. We found the archive, but unfortunately, we haven't been able to track down any of the players. And I love the fact that, well, the club's got the photo for a start, and it really does tell a story. I mean, we look at the equipment, we look at the way they're dressed, we look at the formality of the suit and top hat, we look at the fact that none of them are smiling. Heaven forbid you have fun. I mean, if we compare it to this photo, I mean, God, times have changed, but that's right. I love the photo.
Very formal, well, and I love this for a number of reasons. One of the things that that we're doing as GeoSnapShot, especially during COVID, is getting clubs to upload historical photos to the platform. It's a great way to have a photo gallery which has the history of the club. And enables these sorts of photos to be sort of captured forever, right? Otherwise, they kind of get lost. Somebody's hard drive dies, or photos get lost on Facebook or whatever. So, the history of clubs, the history of being able to look back at photos like this leaves a powerful impression on people. And we think it's super interesting that these photos are still around and somebody's taken the time and effort to make sure that they've kept this photo. So good on them, and it was a definite one to go in the top 10.
Yeah, it's not until you get to our age that you kind of recognise the value of history. When you're living it day to day, you just the historical fact gets lost on you. This is, I think, next year, or we were talking pre coming live, that we'll probably have multiple categories, and one will be the action sports shot, I think, because we've only got a couple of action sports shots. But again, no backstory from the South Australian Parkour Association, but quite a spectacular photo when you look at it in detail.
It's very spectacular, and it's another one of those photos that the more you see, the more you get. And I actually took quite a long time just sort of assessing this photo, and kind of, we had a difficult enough problem to get all the entries down to 10 anyway. Yeah. But the more I looked at this, the more I liked it. And if you take some time again on Facebook, to look at all of these photos in depth, this one especially, you'll start to get more and more out of it. So the photographer's done extremely well. It's a difficult lighting situation, and taking sports photos, taking photos of fast-moving action inside a shed, like this, with very poor lighting, using flash as they have, it's a very hard photo to take, right? So from a technical point of view, I can kind of get it. But I don't know whether they've set up that everyone's doing some kind of action, for the photo. It seems strange to me that every piece of apparatus is sort of being used for the parkour. But I love it. I think it's great. I think it shows energy. It shows enthusiasm from the people that love their sport. It shows a lot of athleticism. It's really one of those photos that the more you kind of look at it, the more you kind of go, I wonder if I could do that. And I definitely couldn't, but it's kind of, gets you intrigued. So it's great.
Well, I think it could be one of those photos in 100 years' time that we look back like this one, and it be an iconic moment in time of the nurturing of a sport, of a young fledgling sport coming through. So one of the things coming out of it is there's more to see than what you just than what your eyes immediately drawn to. But in this case, this is our other action shot that came through. I love this one. Hi, from the Storm Bay Stand-Up Paddleboard Club. Hi, team. Here's our entry. 70-plus-year-old Tommy Leech, always ready to have a crack at a wave on his stand-up paddleboard. Doesn't always end well, though. And I think that's sport, but it's a good photo, but I think it's a great... I think sport does this to everybody at some stage.
Totally. We've all been smashed around a bit, no matter what sport you play, right? So, it's just a great photo. It's been captured well. Technically, it's a good photo and things like that. But it's more about what you're saying, Steve. It's more about the sort of the energy and the commitment and the fun, right? Aspect that it captures. We all, sort of go through these times, sometimes trying things that are a bit beyond us or something like that. But I love the photo. It's obviously captured at the right moment as well, and the backstory is fantastic. Keep giving it a crack, I think, is the tagline to this one.
Yeah, fantastic. And our final entrance, and we're just putting these up in alphabetical order from the submitters as we go through, is from the Wynnum Wolves Football Club. And when you first look at this, I was horrified that someone would submit an injured player. But it's actually, again, on that theme of how we've all felt during sport. It's devastating when you miss a penalty shot, but it's how you get up and bounce back that matters. Photo taken by Keegan Dennis, which I think is just a wonderful photo, because I think, again, almost this photo illustrates my own sporting career of continual disappointment after disappointment, and is it worth getting up? So once I realised that the young lad wasn't injured and that he just missed a penalty shot, I go, I get how you're feeling. I get it.
And that's it. It invokes all of those memories. So the first one for me is, probably not was he injured, but was he crying? Was he upset? What's going on here? He's just so disappointed. I mean, there's something about the capture of this which I think everyone should try and aim for. Okay. And often people try and get the perfect shot of the goal or the moment and, that perfect thing. But with Geo and with photographers that we talk about, we always talk about capturing the emotion just after that win or that loss or that problem or whatever, because they're really strong memories and they invoke really strong photos like this. So you can put your own memories, as you've done, Steve, or your own emotion into this photo, and every one of those is right. You could be crying on the floor, or you could be, getting up and kind of going, you know what, I'm going to run back to my team again because that's where my support is. There's just a whole range of ways to put an emotion that you feel into this photo, and it is just, we've all been there, and in life, we've all got knocked down and we get back up again, and you can see that this particular player here is sort of learning and learning how to do that. So it's part of what sport's all about. You can't win all the time, you can't score the goal all the time, but we really love that photo, and so it's great.
And I look forward. So go to the Sports Community Facebook page, share it with your friends. There'll be thousands of votes, which is fantastic, and it's interesting where the votes are going at the moment. So I think voting finishes on Friday, and then Andy, we're back next Monday, I think, to announce the winners and all the certainly all the prize winners. So make sure you vote, make sure you share it, make sure you check out the GeoSnap website, GeoSnapShot website, and really take the time to go back into the history of your club, because it's been staggering going back through all the photos, and it's caused me to go back through the Sports Community archives and look at the journey and look at our club, if you like, of people that have been through the doors, and it's been a wonderful experience. So really encourage clubs to do it in this time where we may not be doing as many things as we're normally doing.
Totally. I mean, people do have a bit more time at the moment, especially digitally. And let's not forget the prizes that we're giving to some of these clubs as well. We've got an iPad for the winner, and a subscription to GeoSnapShot. For the second, we've actually got a subscription to Geo, plus the professional photographer coming in to help a photographer that might be there already, or take some shots there. But the first, second, and third, all get a subscription to GeoSnapShot, and I'd encourage clubs to go in and have a look, and see how they can use GeoSnapShot at their club. But yeah, share the Facebook link. We want as many votes as possible to make sure that we get the right winners.
And the beautiful thing about GeoSnapShot is it's not just about collecting the photos, which is fantastic in its own right, but many clubs are using the photos then as a fundraiser, which is quite a novel way for many clubs to be raising, or non-traditional way for many clubs to be raising funds, but really effective in this COVID period. So really, there's lots and lots of benefits to the photos.
Totally. I mean, photography is seen as a bit of a hassle sometimes. We just throw all our photos on Facebook, or we've got a photographer. Sometimes they turn up, sometimes they don't. But people really want memories from their club, as we're seeing from the photo competitions and the entries that we're getting. And GeoSnapShot offers a platform that enables clubs and club photographers to upload their photos, sell them for any price they want, and the club can keep 70% of the photos that are sold. So it's a great way to make money now from historical photos, or just keep that rolling into the future, and keep a revenue generation by giving participants a fantastic memory of their achievements at the club.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, Andy, I look forward to joining you again on Monday when we actually announced the prize winners, and a little bit of shout out to our team, Nina and Angela, for doing such a great job of promoting and getting the info out and making it such a successful competition. We look forward to sharing all the photos after the competition so people can see the wonderful stories of all the photos, not just the 10 that have come through to the final poll.
Perfect. Look forward to it, Steve. Keep those votes coming in.
All right, so that's the GeoSnapShot Sports Community Memorable Club Photo Competition. Tomorrow we go back to just doing sport differently, and we've got a great guest tomorrow. So exploring outside your comfort zone. Thursday, I'm not sure what's on the schedule for Thursday. I'll have to ask Nina. And then Friday we're back to eSport Friday, and then Monday we're back to announcing the winner. So it's a jam-packed couple of weeks of the sports community live stream. I'm Steve Pallas, Andy Edwards. Thanks for joining us, and thank you for being part of our sports community.